felt with the heart. Again, the best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. And that's by Helen Keller. And Helen Keller giving us the motivation for the morning. And if you know Helen Keller very well, read a lot about her, you get to know that this is very apt. And especially from her, you should know it is a good motivation for the morning. Well, so that's our motivation for the morning. Now let's look at the news highlights. Now, first story, the Ghana Grid Company Limited, GridCo, is warning of worsening power supply to electricity consumers. The ongoing load shedding is set to get worse because of an emergency shutdown of another generator at the Volta River Authority's thermal plant at Abuasi. GridCo's announcement comes 24 hours after Deputy Energy Minister John Jenapo declared that the ongoing load shedding could end by midday Tuesday. Head of Public Relations at GridCo, Albert Kwesi-Kwenu, confirmed the contrary to Joy FM's top story on Wednesday. GridCo, in an earlier statement, indicated the non-availability of this additional generator has worsened the power supply deficit, hence will require GridCo to manage the load carefully to avoid a total shutdown of the system. He added that this may result in some power curtailment during peak periods until the VRA generator is restored to full active service. Also remain on utilities, and ahead of next week's advertised 4-day water supply disruption, residents in some suburbs of Accra are having to deal with already an acute water shortage situation. The Ghana Water Company explains this is because of ongoing works to mitigate the impact of the plant disruption. The news team's Dorcas and Kuma reports the situation has forced affected residents to go in search of water wherever they can find, including boreholes.
The search for water has been a daunting task for the past 3 days, as residents in affected areas have had to trek for long distances for the utility. Simon, a Kotobabi resident, says after several hours he chanced upon this borehole at Kokomlemle and joined others like him also searching for water.
First, 3,000 and I before 4,000.
Simon is not alone. Abna Benewa and several others also came all the way from Circle PNT to get water too. They tell Joy News the borehole water will be used for other purposes other than drinking and cooking.
4 days in the water pipe, you got to appear to such as Bakokane, and Suye. Yes, so Mumbia pipe and Sian in a ble.
Sister Pensio da Senior Man di Bia Dryena. Into a moment, a band, no mum being so baby my na a beam for baby not being found.
The borehole attendant, meanwhile, has his own worries.
We have connected the borehole to electricity, so if the light goes off, the water will stop flowing.
Christiana Tieku, who operates a door-to-door laundry service, tells me she has been unable to do any business due to the water situation.
And 4 days, me to climb a bar near to pipe, me mine to a my mean a friend says, 7 1 pipe 1 and me and Cametno. Miss Kabian fine yet, fine shamemba. No, she had 2 pipe mere 4 days, so be sitting in ska. No, that shankwala.
Various eating joints have also been seriously affected by the shortage. Most of the food vendors who spoke off camera said they have had to rely on sachet water to prepare their food and have therefore been unable to cook as much as they usually do. Communications Manager of the Ghana Water Company, Stanley Mate, in a phone interview with Joy News, explains the repair works should be completed by Thursday.
And this job that we are doing on the N1 highway is supposed to improve on the situation before Pong is shut down on Monday. Okay, it is a line that we are repairing so that we can push more water from the western part of Accra to the eastern part of Accra, specifically to our Congo Reservoir for onward distribution within the eastern part of Accra. This current project that we are undertaking on the N1 highway is part of the measures because it will enable us to pump more water from the western part of Accra to the eastern part of Accra in our Congo Reservoir for onward distribution within the eastern part of Accra. So this is one of the measures.
Dokas Ankuma, Joy News, Accra.
Management of Intercity STC Company Limited is still crying for recapitalization of the company so it can compete effectively in the sector. Its new head of operations, Victor Ananifrimpong, has told the news team the company is currently running with only 20 buses, 80 short of the minimum it requires to operate profitably. This, he says, requires huge capital injection.
The woes of the once vibrant Intercity STC Company Limited seem unending in spite of several calls to overhaul and bring it back to its feet. The company has a fleet of 39 buses, but only 20 are roadworthy. The remaining are all faulty. Plying routes such as Tamale, Aflao, Abidjan, Cotonou, among others, the company requires between 50 to 100 buses to operate at its optimum. But that requires huge sums of money which the company cannot boast of now.
The government can give STC the last chance, all right, and give us a fleet, minimum about 50 Scania, which is our choice. And I can assure you that we would, based upon performance agreements, they give you a performance contract. 2 years, you perform. If you don't perform, you go. We also will sign additional performance with that. So if you achieve a target, because you need buses to run. You are the manager of Susan, so you need how many buses you need. I give you these buses. I'm giving you a target. If you are unable to achieve it, I'm giving you first quarter, second quarter. If you are unable to deal with it, you're off.
The Intercity STC company, after halting its operations on the Kumasi-Accra route, worsened its debt stock, losing its viability. For the new head of operations of the company, Victor Ananifrimpong, STC's current plight is as a result of its initial non-profit-making objective.
You see, STC has a lot of debts in the past because it was being run not with the aim of making profit. Fuel, they were not paying. Buses, they just run them and it gets spoiled with the hope government will bring, like Metromas. But those type of transport trends cannot be sustained. So now the government cannot continue to do that. We must run transport with the aim of generating revenue to pay ourselves and to buy more. I think that one of the cardinal or one of the critical issues that continues to run STC inefficiently is because STC must break away from running all routes without regard to how profitable is the route is. For me, that is one of the cardinal issues. And that is what I would want to ensure, that when we have fleets, that will be our primary objective.
He also agrees with arguments that the operational turf war between the company's shareholders, SNIT, and government over its management and control also played a role. Vanef, a private entity who took over the company some time back, according to Victor Ananifrimpong, had good management principles, including a stringent performance monitoring system, which he intends to reintroduce to avoid any case of mismanagement. Abigail Adamakwenchi for Joy News.
Well, I guess the SEC needs some level of private-public partnership. Well, government is currently seeking one with the World Bank to get the country a national carrier. Minister of Transport Jifa Ativo, however, could not give any definite timelines as to when negotiations on the deal could end, but was hopeful of a deal that would make the airline a force to reckon with.
At the launch of the first African Air Expo Fair in Accra, Transport Minister Jifa Ativo said consultations with the World Bank to get the country a national airline started as far back as last year.
The national carrier, we are going through a process. Because it's a PPP, we are channeling it through the Minister of Finance. We advertised last year, as you recollect, and we received some proposals which were evaluated. This was submitted to World Bank for no objection, which they have granted. We are expecting the final no objection from the World Bank for the engagement of the transactional advisor, so it's ongoing.
Meanwhile, the first African Air Expo Fair to be held in October this year is expected to attract investments estimated at over $1 billion in the continent and also boost the West African sub-region's aviation industry.
The show will provide a fruitful forum from which stakeholders can interact, especially with prospective investors in the achievement of government policy of public-private partnership in the development of our aviation infrastructure and services. It will also ensure that stakeholders are in tune with the dynamics of the industry, where they can share their experiences, findings, and new investments, among others. The objective of this event, among others, in hosting this event is to create the awareness within Africa and the global aviation that investment in Ghana in whatever form will be of great benefit to Ghana as well as the investor.
The fair is in consultation with the International Center for Excellence of Abu Dhabi, who has been the domain of aviation human capital development in the Middle East for over 5 years now. Major international airlines, including Lufthansa, British Airways, Air Namibia, Emirates Airlines and Delta Airlines are expected to participate in the fair. Funding for the fair, according to Transport Minister Jifa Ativo, will be sourced from the private sector and not from government coffers. It will cost an estimated $3 million to host the first African Air Expo Fair in the country, and Ghana is expected to pay $1 million as its contribution to the program, whilst the Abu Dhabi Center for Excellence handles the rest of the money.
Discussants at a policy forum organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs went home disgruntled and disappointed at the turn-off event following the failure to arrive at a consensus. Well, the event, dubbed Cedi Crisis Implications and Way Forward, which was intended to provide solutions to redeem the Ghana cedi from further depreciation, was reduced to another political blame and defend game when representatives of the two major parties in Ghana, the NDC and NPP, took turns to blame and defend their political positions. Former Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Anthony Akutuose, represented the opposition NPP, while Fifi Kwete represented the NDC government.
Into difficulty. That difficulty is coming necessarily because there is economic mismanagement. And I'm going to preface that by just doing a quick rundown of going through a certain historical analysis of our performance as a country vis-a-vis the city. I'm not going to go too far back. Now, in the year 1999, not to go too far back, in the year 1999, the cedi for the whole of that year depreciated about 8%. In the year 2000, in fact, the very first month of the year 2000, the depreciation of the currency was about 2.5%.
Depreciation of the Ghanaian economy and the associated depreciation of the local currency has been with us for a very long time, as you noted. It's been with every government that I know of, but it only becomes topical when the rate of depreciation becomes intolerable for most of us, and all stakeholders, including my good friends from the Bank of Ghana, begin to resort to what I call panic behavior. Dr. Amwa is my friend from the Bank of Ghana. I'm not directing this at him. I'm directing it at his institution. As a personal friend, we may agree to disagree, but it's okay. Chairman, it's generally accepted by all of us that the long-term fundamental causes of the currency crisis in Ghana relates principally to an imbalance between our production and consumption patterns. That is fundamental.
Other experts together and try to figure out a way forward, because the Bank of Ghana measures would not solve the fundamental problem. You know, we have huge budget deficits, we have huge debts, we have huge foreign debts as well as domestic debts, and these things would all add up to and cause the depreciation to continue going on. This is not new. It's been going on since 1961. So obviously we're not solving the fundamental or the underlying causes, and that's what we need to work towards. I think we'll create another forum to see if we can solicit ideas on that. Oh, maybe just after our 57 years of existence as Ghana. You know, we celebrate our independence. When is it? It's March 6, and we would be 56, I believe. Hopefully, we would then have another forum to look at 56 years of economic development. Have we done well or have we not? We will look at that.
This year's district-level elections cannot be held in October as originally planned. Chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwejo Afarijan, when he appeared before Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, blamed the inability of the Commission to hold the election as planned on a delay in the release of funds. He says a new date is yet to be fixed.
According to Dr. Afarijan, elections are time-bound, and that a delay in the release of funds automatically affects the election calendar. He explained even though the district-level election process was supposed to have commenced in January 2014, the Commission received the funds only recently.
I can assure you that if we receive timely releases of the funds, there will be no taught elections. Elections are time-bound, and the activities are time-bound. All right? You have to do one thing before it's followed by the other. If you don't do registration, you don't finish registration, you can't do nomination, you can't, and so forth. Right? And so we do very beautiful timelines. But just one slip in release disrupts the entire system. And that's why we started saying that our first program anticipated that we would be able to start off in January. You know, the monies were only recently released, so we are now making the beginning. So the end period will also be affected. As for the what you heard over the radio, it was a friendly chat.
The State Housing Company Limited, National Commission for Civic Education and State Enterprise Audit Corporation also appeared before the committee.
President John Dramani Mahama has come under fire for Facebooking. Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament and MP for Doma Central, Kweku Ajamai Menu, is asking the President to stop Facebooking and concentrate on governing the country. Marian Toure has been analyzing the President's social media presence in the light of the current criticism.
President Mahama's last post on Twitter was on January 22nd, almost a month ago, with other posts on 18th, 15th, 12th and 10th of January 2014. This showing a trend of someone who posts just what he deems important. A look at his official Facebook account with a following of over 32,000 fans shows a different trend. His last post on the page is as recent as February 18th. The video has the caption, "Ghana is the most stable country in West Africa. This is our most valuable asset when talking to potential foreign investors. Watch and please share." There are several other posts from 14th, 13th, 12th and 11th February, and the controversial post of February 10th, the first part of which reads, "I thank and salute the wise Ghanaian politicians who understand that the right attitude in such times is to assist the government and stop predicting disaster." This Mr. Emmanuel reacted to by saying, and I quote, "President himself shouldn't be doing this kind of propaganda politics," adding, "The president should allow that to be done by the younger guys. I don't want to mention names, but you all know them." Perhaps Mr. Emmanuel is not just bothered about the president's presence on social media, but also his choice of posts. This shows a trend of a president who wants to keep his citizens updated about the work he is doing on their behalf. The president also keeps a blog with the last post on February 11th with links to his YouTube and Google Plus accounts and a volunteering page which seeks to engage Ghanaians. Well, there are many young Ghanaians across the globe who might disagree with the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament and rather praise the president for his presence on social media. Marian Ture for Joy News, Accra.
Let's look at some other news. And the Tema Development Corporation, the TDC, has dissociated itself from the Tuesday clearance of debris at Ajekwejo, where homes were recently demolished. Answering questions as they appeared before the Parliamentary Select Committee on Works and Housing, the Managing Director of the TDC denied claims by the MP for the area that over 600 houses were pulled down, putting the number close to 60.
A member of the committee, Emmanuel, who is also a professional surveyor, was concerned about the alleged involvement of the TDC in the clearance of the demolition site on Tuesday. But this, the Managing Director said, was not done by the TDC.
If we bring an evidence that a truckload has started cutting away the debris from the site, what will be your reaction?
It will not be done by us. It's not TDC that is doing it. It's not TDC that is doing it.
So the main issue is as to whether we can ascertain the number that has been demolished so far. If there is any fact-finding visit to the place, is it possible?
We've been using the gross area, fine. But if you want to go and count the demolished structures, then it might, I don't know whether it is possible to do that. You may not be, it's not possible for you to get.
Other members of the committee, Titus Glover and former Sector Minister E.T. Mensah, supported the TDC action.
The motorway is a den for robbers. A lot of people have been robbed on the motorway in broad daylight. And that area is a den for these armed robbers. We live with these robbers in the area and nobody seems to care about it. I want to appeal to this committee. We need to commend the corporation. We need to suppress institutions of state. If you do the wrong thing, you do the right thing, and you be badged by the public, tomorrow posterity is going to judge you for saving the people of this country.
What is happening now is only, in discipline. In the past, our people were more disciplined than we were. In those days, nobody there moved into any place to develop without permit. The law is quite clear. When we started enforcing the laws in Accra, there was only one double road in Accra. We want to go through the pain to pave the way. Otherwise, if you hadn't done it, it would have been difficult. And that is exactly what is being done. And our friends in the media will beg you, let's get involved.
The committee was scheduled to visit the site on Tuesday, February 18. The same time the alleged clearance of the debris went on, but were asked by the leadership to hold on. The chairman indicated the committee is still bent on visiting the site and expressed his disappointment on the failure of the MP of the area to join the meeting.
My serious disappointment in the inability of the Member of Parliament for the area to be with us, because I thought information was sent to her and we thought she would join us to cross-examine. Unfortunately, she's not here, but I think we are making a headway. The activities there must in a way slow down, so that as soon as we get there, we can be able to ascertain the fact.
The TDC MD also answered questions posed by the Member of Parliament for the area, Irina Toshi, in her statement on the floor of the House a couple of weeks ago.
Well, we would have to look at some other news as well. And news making rounds since January 18, 2014, when former Joy FM and BBC broadcaster Komladumo passed on, was that, well, he died of cardiac arrest. The chief of Aflao, though, has charged his ancestors to provide answers to what he calls a mystery.
At the airport, when the body arrived and the priest was pouring the libation, at a point in pouring the libation or praying, he said, "Mia lemia for katonami, ne mia hovaya mia wanami lo." Doesn't mean he didn't die, you know, a natural death, that he was, somebody kind of took his life away?
Yeah, according to our belief, with the black hair, it's not a natural death. So the ancestors have to find out the cause of his death.
Well, this is natural, though, as the chiefs of Aflao Traditional Council wants Komladumo's remains brought to Aflao for burial. The council is basing its demand on the fact that the late BBC presenter was a youth chief in the area. The family has set Friday, February 21 to Sunday, 23 of February for the final funeral services for Komladumo. The family is yet to make public the burial place for the journalist.
The better we look at our traditional aspect of life, the better for the development of Ghana, the better for our lives, and the better for the future of these generations. Now, when you get back to even developed countries, they have their traditions that they will never allow anybody to destroy it. But we are allowing those people to destroy our traditions. Let me say it here loud and clear that we have difference between tradition and religion. Even if I'm not a paramount chief, Koma will call me grandfather.
Technical difficulties, right? That's why we have some of those difficulties as well. So that's it for the morning, and well, we want to look at one more story before we go. And a leading member of Friends of Afoko in the Bunafu region, Nana Yabwedu, has chided the new Patriotic Party's vetting committee for suspending Paul Afoko's vetting. Nana Yabwedu referred to the committee's decision as an attempt to kick him out of the party's national chairmanship race. Correspondent Nestor Kafui Ajoma spoke to him in Sunyai in the Bunafu region.
We are saying that the vetting committee and the petitioners want to hijack the party because they know very well when Paul Afoko comes, a few people who are hijacking the party and they don't have a position at the party's office will not have their way through. And that is why they are doing all this. So we are saying that if tomorrow comes and they deny Paul Afoko's vetting, the Friends of Paul Afoko and the concerned communication group within the MPP party are going to stand against that decision, take blackouts throughout the country and make noise. And if possible, if our case are not being heard, we don't have anything to do but to defect from MPP to NDC.
Meanwhile, the MPP has cleared 5 aspirants who were originally disqualified from contesting various national executive positions in the upcoming elections. The 5 are Fred Amankwa Safo, Hajia Fatima and Philomena Sewakutu, who were all vying for the vice chairmanship position of the party. Kamal Abdullahi, who was contesting for the Nasara coordinator, and Charles Edujemfi, aspiring national youth organizer. You're also watching the AM show, and it's live on the Joynews channel of Multi TV. Please get interactive. We have the short code 1760, but also go to Facebook and look for the page Joynews on TV and get interactive. We have a lot more for you next. We have sports, and it's brought to you by Cabell and Tigo. Do stay on. We'll be right back.
Good morning. My name is Baba Tanda. Time now to talk sports on the AM show, proudly brought to you by Tigo and Carbell. Now, yesterday in the UEFA Champions League, Arsenal and AC Milan both recorded losses at home. Arsenal played against Bayern Munich, and then AC Milan, they also happened to lose their match against Atletico Madrid. Later on Joy News today at midday, I will bring you details of what's happening with Asante Kotoko and their striker or their midfielder, Yaya Mohammed, who flew to Libya to sign for Libyan side Al Ittihad without informing or allegedly informing the club, and now they are threatening to deal with him legally, and that could also come with a lot of other issues. We'll bring you details of that one and more stories making the rounds in the world of sports on Joy News today at midday. My name is Baba Tando. Sports on the AM show is made possible by Tigo and Carbell.